Ooh, even more chaos and cluttered than usual because we're doing engine work. Oh, it's not going to be long before this Dodge is back on the road. You guys might have seen about the broken timing chain. That's what we're doing right there. It's got a Hemi. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. I'm Jimmy. We're making it work. If you're wondering what's going on, we're not here for the wonderful 62 C10 project truck. We're not here just for this one engine job, although that may end up being what we do all day today. So we'll have some fun. We'll learn a thing or two. We got on this car. I'm going to try to get it done today. That might be optimistic. Also, too, I wanted to ask you guys, I think I've mentioned this before, and a lot of people like the day in the shop format with all the different cars, but the views don't seem to be doing very well. I really wish they do a little better. I watch someone like Rain Man Ray or Eric O from South Main Auto, and I see them with 98, 100,000 views on a video, and they just do a single repair. So I'm kind of trying to get over the 2,000 view mark. Some videos do go over it, but not many. So it's a little bit difficult to figure out what to do. I really think I need to go to single repairs because I might get more views and I'll definitely save in editing time. I'm spending about 25 hours a week editing the 6 videos I do every week. So it's really taking a lot of time, especially compared to the views. But I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. I might edit all that out. I'm not really sure yet. Let's see what we can do today on this engine job. We're going to try to get it done. Let's have some fun and learn a thing or two. Stay tuned. Got the crank sensor. Knock sensor's already unplugged. There's a little metal cover on that too that you snaps on there. A little snapper doodle deal. We're right back on this thing, firing up the morning. We got most of these bolts yesterday, but we still got to get the bolts that face this way. There's like a 17 or 16 up there. These are 15s. Once we get those and we get this exhaust, which I soaked last night with penetrating oil, this thing will be ready to lift out. I got to do some, I think the cooler line with the transmission bolts. Okay, I already got that with the compressor. Nice. That is good. All right, let's get to work. Get some tools, 16 and a 15. Oh, you want to see the salvage engine real quick? This one's going back. That's what we're putting in. Doesn't look too pretty, does it? Okay, Q, baby. So we'll have to undo a lot of stuff. You see, they cut all of these individual instead of just cutting the main harness. I can't explain their thought process, but I know one thing. It's going to work good. We're going to put it in there. Hopefully the timing chain is good on that one. See if the little 3/8 Milwaukee can do it. Never had a doubt. Alright, that's probably a slight exaggeration. I had a little doubt. And wherever the 3/8 ratchet can't fit, we got a transmission extension and a mid-torque. Because the steering's on this side. There's no room to put a little 3/8 up there. Uh-oh. I can't get the angle on my dangle. That's terrible. Disproportionate to the heat of the meat, as they like to say in high school. Let's try from there. Oh yeah. Okay, when you're in the point where the engine and transmission will start to separate as I loosen this last bolt, and then I'll be able to watch and see how far I want to loosen it. I might need to put let the car lower and put a jack stand under the bell housing or pan to kind of hold it and support it while I loosen it the rest of the way. Most of the time, you can just take this bolt out. You'll get a little gap on the bottom, and it'll kind of wedge itself and stop it from having a big issue. But as is the case with this one. So it's all unbolted now, I know, because once they separate like that, I know I've gotten all my bolts. So the dowel pins are going to probably fight a little bit. Everything else is unbolted under here. All my connectors I can get to. The 102 sensor My plan is to lift the engine out an inch or two so I get my hand in there better for the O2 sensor on this side. Because of the AC box, it's a little tighter. So why fight it? We'll just work on it when we pull it out. I'll put a jack, a floor jack under here, hold this up while the engine hoist pulls the engine up, and then I'll be able to slide the engine and transmission apart gently, cautiously, but you gotta be a little bit, what's the word? You can't be timid. You gotta be a little rough, but gentle at the same time. You'll see. I apologize if that came off, it's too easy. That's the exhaust. The exhaust is now discombobulated or disconnected, whatever you like to say. I won't hold it against you either way. Got my Vim engine hoist chain set. I got this when they were clearing them out on the website, 15 bucks. So some people, apparently retailers, bought a whole bunch of them and they're reselling them because they were so cheap. But if you missed out on that deal, I apologize. I had a video about it when they came out, but I think a couple people actually bought some that I remember. Anyway, I got it installed. What I like about it is you can move the chain to whatever length you want to center the engine. I mean, they make more elaborate engine removal setups that you can have adjustable cranks to tilt the engine while you're pulling it out and all, which is super nice, but I don't do enough engines to justify something like that. But matter of fact, you got a junkyard style engine hoist that takes 1,000 pumps to move it up.
Where do you want to go? Just straighten it out? Right?
I'm just trying to keep it from knocking my hood profile.
Oh, gotcha.
Doesn't like the chunks and hips and concrete out here at all. It's a nice little track. Of course. Get the car out of the way, I think it's going to lift it up. That thing got a Hemi? Nope. Well, since each manifold had a broken stud, and I got to change over auction sensors and stuff anyway, I just switched over the manifolds. We're using the exhaust gaskets too because it's not in the budget, and really they're not in bad shape. They're stuck to the manifold, and they're tin on the other side, so the tin faces the engine block. And 2 of the bolts were loose on the original engine anyway, so when I took them off the salvage engine, they were all tight. Go figure. But I'm gonna finish switching this over. That's an E150 van, high performance van. Took his muffler off, probably got a K&N filter on there. Nice. I'm gonna finish switching this over. I gotta install a motor mount afterwards. I think it's a little easier to get the exhaust done with the mount left off for now. And oh, that doesn't go there. You gotta pay attention while you're chit-chatting. The ones with the studs on them go on the outer ends, and the regular 10mm head bolts go on the insides, because the heat shield sits on the 4 studs on the outer ends. So once this is snugged up, moving on to the motor mount. This motor mount is either got water in it making it rust and leak something out, or it's a fluid filled mount and it's leaking, but also not in the budget. It's not the end of the world with that, but it's, I mean, it's out, so not up to me. It's alright. It's not going to be a big deal. What the hydraulic fluid does, it slows down how fast the mount can move. It's not that the mount's broken as far as being detached, so it won't like lift completely out, but it'll let it move too much, too fast, if that makes sense. It's supposed to slow it down like the way a shock works. The shock's job is to control spring oscillation. Same thing, just to a lesser degree. Alright, I think we're about ready. I'm going to make a couple of studs to put in the back of the engine to help guide it into the transmission. Even though this one's not too bad, but the dowel pins are really short, so I find a couple of guide bolts that you take out later to put the regular bolts in helps. Well, just another day at the office. Luckily I tried to use these studs. If I didn't try to use these guide studs, I'd be pulling this motor back out to clean these holes. It must have sat at the salvage yard on the flywheel end or something, I don't know, because there's all kinds of crap and rust and stuff. I couldn't even get my little thread chaser tool. See on my part there? I could not get the regular thread chaser, and I have to use a tap to cut the crud and stuff out of there. These are the right size bolts. Now that I've tapped, I got 2 more to do. I believe there's maybe one more to do. 4 in the block, the rest go this way. Man, I'm just really glad I decided to try to use these guides. I would have had this motor in and not been able to get the bolts started. So anyway, now you're up to date. I'm going to keep working on these a little bit, and then we'll try to drop this motor in. I won't even try to do it, we'll actually do it. Alright, now the original bell housing bolts will thread in, and so will the studs I made by cutting the heads off of bolts. I wouldn't normally, you know, the guide pins are nice on some applications. Fords and Chryslers, the short dowel pin and the tin spacer plate falls off, and you're fighting everything trying to get it together. So with this on there, you don't want them too far in. You want to be able to grab them, the bell housing up against the motor. You want to be able to grab them and pull them back out. So anyway, one more time, I'm just glad that I tried to do this, because I'd have found out the hard way otherwise. Alright, now to get my contraption out of here. I used this to hold up the transmission while I was looking for a spot to work on the engine. Ah, that was optimistic, wasn't it? Got close enough to get it. Alright, I got the tranny jacked up as much as I can without damaging anything. Now I should be able to put the motor. I'm going to take those bolts out of the top too, where my dowels are going to go, and drop this thing in there. A little at a time. Still got a little ways to go. Next time I'll remove the transmission dipstick. That made it a little bit tough. Closer. About a ½ inch away from getting those dowels to line up, because I got the transmission jacked way up. It's just about, if I lower the transmission, we should be in pretty decent shape. Now we're getting somewhere. Now I'm going to lower the engine a little bit, then lower the transmission, lower the engine, until I get those mounts down in those cradles. And then we're going to be past halfway to new car status. Got to be really sneaky with that. Can't go too far with either one or the other. I don't know if any one of you have installed an engine while you got a camera in your hand, but it's exciting and you should try it if you haven't. All right, we're getting somewhere now. I think it's safe to start letting stuff down a little more. We'll keep going. All right, I got my bolts started loosely and about ready to let down this transmission the rest of the way. We should be in. Boom. Alright. Time to get something to eat. Torque converter bolts are next. I got most of the bell housing bolts snugged up from the bottom, except those main two on the side here. I just decided I wanted to make sure all my torque converter bolts are going to go in nicely. I lined up the holes, making sure the converter spins nice and free. Once I get these tightened up, finish these two, and I think we'll be grabbing the starter after that. Might as well plug the crank sensor in while we're looking at it. And the knock sensor. I don't think I'll have this running today, but I might. I'm not going to rush. You guys know how there's certain things with big jobs like this, I don't want to do it again, especially when it's on me that I made a mistake. So I had to take a little extra time. Stay on there, will you? It's the wrong way, but I'm going to use it to keep it from turning at this point. Button that exhaust up first, then I'll put the starter in. Executive decision. Make those on the fly, that's fine. It does have a heat shield, which is what made me figure I'd do the exhaust first. 16 millimeter on these instead of 15 for some reason. I don't know. Come on! This one stud's a little funny on the first thread. Just a little boogered up on these threads. I'm going to run a die, a thread chaser die over them, just in case. You don't need no strip studs right up in here. Probably not easy to see, is it? Pretty dark up there. Oh! Gravity check! Yeah. Now, I should be able to get my nuts on. Still feels a little gritty. A little sketch. It's, so far in now with this exhaust that I want to take it back off. It's disheartening that it's giving me trouble. I have to put that one on by hand. I'm going to I got a little adapter with my little stubby ratchet, so I can't possibly just cross thread it that way, can I? Just, yeah, it's definitely too close near the pipe there. The gap is smaller than the outside. Doesn't want to go on straight, but I just ran a tap over the die, over the stud, and a die over the stud, and a thread chaser tap through the nut, and it's fighting me a little bit. If I lose patience and grab the impact and try to whiz it on there, I'll end up breaking the stud, and then I'll be very sad. Nobody wants that. If I run my thread chaser, what I'm going to run this through a couple of times. Make sure these threads are 100% clean. I already did it once. There's like little chunks, I think, of rust or something. I got to get a blowgun too. I got to do nut restoration. I'm going to make my nut like brand new. A little deep creep. Never hurt anybody. And see if we can do that. If I can run this into my thread chaser by hand, it should go on that stud, right? You saw I just ran that die on it. You know what it is? Someone got a dancing card and they want to dance. So it's their dime. I'm gonna have to dance. That's all. I'm gonna play with this a while, and it's gonna go on there whether it wants to or not. That's the bottom line. This is gonna happen. I'll put 20 minutes in. I don't care. I'll put 20 minutes into this thing. I can thread the nut on from both sides by hand. Get these chunkies out of the thread chaser, helps a little bit. Blow them out too with a blowgun. That's probably what I'll do after I'm done here. Alright. Enough watching me struggle with a nut. I think I'm going to blow it out with a blowgun. We're going to put this thing on. Told you I'd win. Winners never quit. Quitters never win. That's what I'm saying. And that's a motto to live by. Let's go ahead and impact her a little bit, because the torque spec specifically from Chrysler is 2 Ugga Duggas. Alright, that was a little silly. Now a starter. Hopefully it'll go smoother. I thought of one other thing I want to do before the starter, the little knock sensor heat shields. They kind of roll on. If you put one side on, you can stick your finger into the spring inside and pop it over the connector. Not really as bad as it might seem. Now, where's that starter at? Oh, there it is. I gotta say, well, you know what? I'm not gonna say it's on time. Enough of that. I'm not saying nothing. Sorry. You gotta guess what I was gonna say. You have to guess. Because I'm not going to jinx it. It's a 13 on the battery cable. And there's 3 15s on the starter. This top one has a little bracket on it for holding the wire harness. And the other two just go in there and nick it. Tighten that up too far yet. There we go. Ah, a lot smoother than the exhaust. That's good because we don't have all day. Well, we do have all day actually. That's what we're here doing. So. We don't have all day. We got tomorrow too if we need it. Oh, you know what I can do? Real easy. A little shield that goes over the torque converter bolts since they're all done. I believe after this, we're done with the underneath stuff. I'm gonna have a look around and make sure. That goes when the compressor goes in, and that goes in. Okay. Yeah. That's it. I gotta tighten up my 13 right here. Tighten up this 10 and not skip around too much. That's how you forget stuff. Squirrel! You gotta focus. Focus. Now I can use my little quarter drive to tighten that 13 up, I believe. But you know what? I'm not gonna, because even though I could, it's a risk. There's a little risk involved in using power tools on a copper stud. So we're just using my little mini ratchet wrench. That's about right. That's the actual gear wrench brand version. It's supposed to be a cover on those usually, but I don't know where it went. I don't think I ever took one off. I don't remember, to tell you the truth. I'll find out in editing if there was a plastic cover on that. Might as well put an oil filter in there and make sure the rest of the remnants of the oil are out of it. They left a little oil in there, but that's probably all drained back. I did pre-fill that filter, if anyone wants to contemplate whether I should have or not. It's a little larger than the one I took off too, but it's the one it calls for. The thread's right on, the gaskets, the seat's perfect, so. Alright, let's let this thing down. Get up on top of this. I'm going to take out my bobby pins. Put my regular studs back in. Since I cleaned them threads up nice, they come right out there. A couple of those. So get this all back here buttoned up. Smooth sailing. I'm doing a push-up right now. So it's like a one-handed push-up at a time. Just switch back and forth till I get. These are the hardest ones. The rest of them are pretty easy. This big giant metal bracket, which they have in there just to hold the wiring harness, that's the only thing that makes it tough. There's tubes in here. And we're doing this low budget, so no ring kits, no gaskets unless we absolutely have to have them. So I'm gonna do what I can to make this work. Like things like batteries. I need a battery right now. Oh, there's one. I found O-rings that are close for these coolant tubes, and I just put a little smear of gray silicone, which I really don't like to do, but it doesn't hurt anything. It just might make it a little harder to get them apart next time. But hopefully there won't be a next time. Let's look at the positives. That's where that goes. Now I remember. Interesting. This just kind of like lays on the wheel well. Thought it would have something that would fit into. Nope. This is going to go on after the intake. I still got to tighten this building up though. Okay, we'll find it. That goes to the map sensor on the back of the intake. Brake booster hose, fuel line. Alright. Everything's fitting together nicely. I gotta get the bolts for this. And I think that nut fell down somewhere because I had it on there, but maybe not enough. Maybe I have to turn it off. On the stud, just it's the only way it's gonna happen, basically. Don't go anywhere. Get over here, will you? The bottom bolt. It does not want to go in. I might need to do that from the bottom. I don't think I did that from the bottom, taking it out. But things come apart a lot easier when they go together. Alright, maybe I did do something from the bottom. I don't remember. I know one thing. It went in. It didn't go. Gravity's a wonderful thing. I mean, without it, we'd float into space. So it helps us a lot. But at the same time, the older I get, the more I realize gravity's around. I still like it though. I never want to like get rid of it. Keep it around. This Torx head stud dealio. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze. I probably should have put it in before I put the cooler lines for the transmission. But if I threaded it by hand, I should clear my tools. And we're golden. My little baby ratchet. One of the cheapest ratchets I have and one of the most handy. Because you don't expect too much of it, so you don't abuse it, you know? Alright. Luckily I had some gaskets in my toolbox, so we did some O-rings and stuff on the lines. This actually has a metal washer with an O-ring built into it. Now, see, these gaskets are actually in really good shape. They said we could change them if we wanted, but honestly, they're not. There's nothing wrong with them. They're still pliable. They recovered and came back above the surface of the intake plastic by a lot. So I wouldn't change it if it was my car. I wouldn't change them just for the sake of changing them. Some people might not like that, but in reality, nothing will be wrong with that. I'm much more concerned with the condition of this junkyard engine, which we won't find out until we fire it up. Intake is going on. I did blow air through the intake just in case when this thing blew up it took out other parts, but there was no remnants or any, not even the tiniest little sliver of metal came out of the intake. So I think just the chain broke and sent some debris into the pan. It probably bent the valves at that point, but it was no longer running. So that's why there was nothing in the intake, I suppose. I don't know. I think if you get a valve train failure, then you might have more parts in the intake than a timing chain failure that causes the valve train to fail, if that makes sense. In any event, we'll know soon. I gotta look up the torque specs still. I believe these are 79 or 89 inch-pounds, something like that. We'll get them snugged up, we'll go check that. I always try to tighten, especially when you're torquing, but I always try to tighten from the center and work your way out. I find I get the best results that way. Most procedures will tell you that as well. It says 9 foot-pounds. Sounds right. I'm saying 105 inch-pounds is more like it. But even the 105 feels like these bolts are going to give up the ghost. Yeah. Alternator and wiring harness, not in that order. Where's it going to go? Let's see. We're going to figure it out. Oh, that seems like about right to me. That seems about right. The wires will usually tell you where they want to go. You just have to listen closely. Coils. Listen for the click. Safety. Click. Sometimes you don't hear it click. They're worried about the injector connectors flying off. The coil connectors, they weren't worried about this. They won't happen. I don't make the rules. I don't know how they decide those things, but where does that go? Oh, I know where it goes. This one goes down here. And there's an oil sender down here too. I'll show you in a second. Sometimes the harness and the senders don't agree anymore when you change engines, and things have to be put in place where they don't feel like they want to go. There's a lot going on down there, but there's two senders right next to each other. So and then you got your cam sensor. This one, I gotta see where this goes. This might go to the air intake or something like that. I have to look and see. Oh, it could even go to the alternator. No, that's this one. Well, we'll find out where it goes. Don't worry. It's gonna show itself eventually. I think the other two I got from the bottom, like the compressor. Everything else looks good. Connector's plugged in on the back of the alternator. I used a little 12mm nut I had, which was the only one that was 12, so I put that on the alternator stud. You do the purge valve. She's a tough little girl. Because I didn't disconnect the hose at the bottom. There it is. And this goes into the clip. Onto the nipple. Now, it's attached to the wiper cowl brace. I can do my map sensor. It'll be easier when the wiring harness is on though. I'm going to put the throttle body on there right now because I don't want this to be open tonight if I don't get everything else done. So. I'm not threading these by hand because it's basically a wood screw. Definitely don't want to over tighten those. If you're having a bad day trying to get some JB weld at the AutoZone. Alright. Now I can do that wiring harness, and at least I got a closed throttle body. In case you got a varmint trying to get up in here. I've had a bee chasing me around half the day too, which is kind of weird. As soon as I get out the brake clean, he disappears like he knows. My little, those ignition capacitors, I got it rotated so it's pulling that harness this way. I got to loosen it, adjust it, and snug it back up. No big deal. I got a tool for that right here. I'm like, why is the harness all of a sudden a different length? These help the ignition system with spikes and noise, I believe. Assuming they're capacitors. Oh, we are getting there now, guys. We are getting there. Some electrical connectors up here. And the only thing really left is the radiator fan, belt, and air box. We'll be able to start this thing up after we put some oil in it in the morning. I'll probably put the oil in it tonight. Another thing that I will feel better about. And what I'll do is, another thing I like to do, as you guys know, take the oil cap, go like this. There's no oil in it. Even better, go the extra mile. Just in case. This one goes to the compressor. Down here. Safety lock on that one. There you go, that's for my harness, not yours. It's getting kind of late. I don't know if I could vacuum it down tonight or not. Let me get the oil in it first. We'll see if we get time to vacuum the AC down. I could do that tomorrow while I'm doing the radiator and the belt, so. You know, it's dinosaur blood time. This cap's supposed to stay on here. Maybe it used to at one point. I don't know. Some of the finest dinosaur blood money can buy. This is the 520 full synthetic. This is good stuff. Mine could run 530, but with the variable valve timing engines and variable displacement and all, it's a little sketch trying to do that. Come on. Show me what you got. Oh, it's windy back here. Be careful. Taking a big risk. These blue ones are supposed to be for transmission fluid. So I asked the guys one time, why do blue ones have engine oil in them? I need to do a transmission service. So real smart, they go, you want me to wipe it out for you? I'm like, no, and I want you to not use it for engine oil, dummy. Matter of fact, it had a label that said transmission fluid only on it. Someone took it off, or maybe it fell off, I don't know. But by the time it fell off, we all knew the blue ones were for transmission fluid. But this already had like a half a quart of 520 in it, so I'm not gonna fight it anymore. I'm giving in. I don't care. I'm tired. Let the banjos come. I don't care. Come on now. It looks like I'm being rough. Don't worry, I'm not. I'm more worried about the radiator than I am flexing the fan shroud. Let's put it that way. And then of course I'm jammed up. So this little ear has to go under the lower hose. So I got to kind of put this in like that. I'm going to call redo. Give it another go. Tell you what, it's a tight squeeze. And I'm just thinking how much different everything would be with another 1/4 of an inch. There's a little nub on the water pump that just sticks out, so 1/4 of an inch. Alright. I didn't design it, I'm just trying to fix it. Sometimes you don't have a choice. And things are just going to get a little rough. And I don't like that, but over the years I get more and more used to it. It's either that, I should pay the mechanic 3 hours and he removes the water pump when he does a fan. Let him do that. They just go, don't break anything because you have to pay for it. You're going to make the same amount of money whether that takes you 2 hours or half an hour, mister. My goodness gracious, that was fun. I'm not going to lie to you. That was a lot of fun. A couple of 8mm screws, electrical connector, and a belt. Oh, I got to put the tensioner onto it. That only take a second. Watch. Bam! I told you. Tensioner, belt, fan, connector, done. So tomorrow we just got to do the coolant, upper hose. I got one more bolt to tighten on the alternator down below, and put the wiper cowl in. That should only take maybe an hour. Have this thing running in the morning. Thanks for watching today's video. Torque the like button on your way out. I hope you got something from it. Let me know if you'd rather I put this kind of a repair into one video, because it's going to end up being spread over quite a few days. I'd have to change the way I do some things if you want to do that, but let me know. Alright, I hope I see you in the next video, because you're awesome.